Welcome back to my YouTube channel AF Coins World. Have you ever held a simple penny in your hand, one so small, so ordinary, that you tossed it into a drawer without a second thought? Well, what if I told you that one of those old pennies, specifically the 1960 Lincoln penny, could actually be worth thousands, or even more, in today's coin market? Yes, you heard that right. A coin most people ignore might just be hiding a small fortune. Stay with me, because this isn't just any penny. It's a piece of American history, and it might just be sitting in your pocket change or coin jar right now. The 1960 Lincoln penny was struck at the Denver Mint. Now, what makes this particular penny stand out is not just its age or design, but a very special mistake, what collectors call a variety. In 1960, the U.S. Mint made two versions of the Lincoln penny, one with a large date and another with a small date. But in Denver, some pennies were struck using mismatched dies, creating a very rare version, the 1960 small date over large date variety. This variety is extremely hard to find. Most people would never notice the difference unless they were trained to look. The small details in the numbers on the date, especially the shape and size of the 6 and the 0, are key. But for those who do find one, the reward can be astonishing. Let's talk about why this coin is so valuable. First, it's the scarcity. Even though millions of 1960 pennies were minted, only a tiny fraction have this rare error. And because they weren't caught at the mint, they quietly slipped into circulation, waiting decades to be discovered by sharp-eyed collectors. Second, condition matters. If you happen to have a 1960 small date penny that's never been circulated, what collectors call mint state or uncirculated, then you're in for a treat. These coins, when graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, can command massive prices at auction. In fact, some of these rare varieties in pristine condition have sold for over $10,000, and here's where it gets even more exciting. Coin collectors today are desperately searching for these rare pennies. There's a strong demand, especially from those who specialize in Lincoln cents. That demand drives up the price. So even if your coin isn't in perfect condition, if it has that rare variety, it still holds incredible value. Imagine this: a single penny, something you've had sitting in a coin jar or tucked in a drawer for decades, could pay for a vacation, or even a down payment on a new car. So how do you know if you've got the right one? Take a magnifying glass and look at the date closely. Compare the numbers, particularly the 6 and the 0, to pictures online of both the large date and small date versions. If you think you've got the small date version from Denver, you might be looking at a small fortune. The 1960 Lincoln penny might look like just another copper coin. But in truth, it's a hidden gem that's made collectors very wealthy. If you have the 1960 small date over large date variety in mint condition, it could fetch anywhere from $5,000 to over $20,000, depending on its grade and demand at the time of sale. So don't overlook your pennies. That old coin sitting in your drawer could be worth far more than a cent. It could be worth thousands. Start checking your change. The treasure might already be in your hands. What if I told you that a simple penny, yes, just 1 cent, could make you a millionaire? Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me, because today we're diving into one of the most surprising and mysterious coins in U.S. history, the 1980 Lincoln penny. It may look ordinary to the naked eye, but hidden among those copper coins is a version so rare, so valuable, that collectors would pay a fortune just to get their hands on it. If you have one in your pocket change, you might be sitting on a gold mine without even knowing it. The year was 1980. Ronald Reagan was on his way to the White House, gasoline was under $1, and a penny was still made mostly of copper. That year, the U.S. Mint struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. Most of them were made in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Nothing unusual there, right? But here's where it gets fascinating. In a sea of common coins, a handful of 1980 Lincoln pennies slipped through the cracks with mistakes, errors so rare that they instantly transformed those coins into collectors' treasures. So what makes a 1980 Lincoln penny worth more than just 1 cent? It all comes down to minting errors and specific varieties. One of the most sought-after versions of the 1980 penny is the double die obverse. In this rare variant, the design on the front of the coin, especially the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," appears slightly doubled. This doubling happened during the minting process, when the die struck the coin more than once, out of alignment. Only a few of these double die coins are known to exist. Collectors go wild for double die coins because they represent a flaw in the system, something that should never have happened. It's like finding a typo in a classic novel that was printed and sold before anyone noticed. And just like a misprinted first edition book, that flaw makes it incredibly rare, but that's not all. The value of a 1980 penny also depends heavily on its condition. If you have one of these rare errors in what collectors call mint state or uncirculated condition, meaning it has no scratches, hasn't been handled, and still shines like it just left the mint, then you're really onto something special. Some pennies from 1980 have been discovered with an unusually strong strike, almost proof-like in appearance, even though they were not part of a proof set. These coins have a crisp design, mirror-like surfaces, and incredibly sharp details. Combine that with a rare error, and you've got a coin that serious collectors would pay thousands, or even tens of thousands, of dollars for. Now, here's where it gets really exciting. While most 1980 pennies are worth only face value, there are stories in the numismatic world about rare specimens fetching jaw-dropping sums at auction. Some unique coins with a combination of error, rarity, and pristine condition have been estimated to be worth over $100,000, and in theory, a perfect storm of rarity, historical significance, and collector demand could push a coin like this into the $1 million range. Sound crazy? Not when you consider that a 1943 copper penny once sold for over $1.7 million. That coin, too, was just a tiny error lost in a sea of steel coins, but it made someone a millionaire. Could the 1980 Lincoln penny be the next $1 million coin? Many experts think it's only a matter of time before a flawless, error-marked specimen emerges and sets a new record. So here's the bottom line. If you have a 1980 Lincoln penny, don't just toss it in the jar. Look closely. Use a magnifying glass. Check for doubling in the text. Examine the condition. And if it looks unusual, especially if it has a strong strike, doubling, or any kind of oddity, it could be incredibly valuable. As of now, a regular 1980 penny in circulated condition might be worth just 1 cent. But a rare double die in uncirculated condition? That could be worth anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000, or much more, depending on demand and grading. And if you were to find a previously unknown ultra-rare variant? You might just be holding a coin worth hundreds of thousands, or even $1 million. So dig into your old coin jars, check your pocket change, and most importantly, keep watching, because that one little penny could change your life. 1984 Lincoln penny in your pocket change and wondered if it could be worth thousands, or even millions? Well, today, we're diving into one of the most shocking stories in modern coin collecting. Because what might look like just another copper penny from the Reagan era, could actually be a fortune hiding in plain sight. Where we explore the incredible, the rare, and the downright unbelievable treasures of U.S. coin history. And today, we're talking about one coin that has stunned collectors, dealers, and even professional graders, the elusive 1984 Lincoln penny. The 1984 Lincoln penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Over 8.1 billion pennies were minted that year, yes, billion with a B. So how could a coin so common become so incredibly rare? The answer lies in a mistake. A rare, almost invisible mistake to the naked eye, but a glaring error to a trained numismatist. And it's this mistake that could turn your humble 1984 penny into a jackpot worth thousands, perhaps even more in the future. Now here's where it gets fascinating. The 1984 Lincoln cent has a highly sought-after variety known as the double-ear penny. That's right, the 1984 double die obverse. This error coin shows clear doubling on Lincoln's ear, visible under magnification, and in some cases, even without it, this isn't just minor doubling. When you see it, it's obvious. A second earlobe, slightly below the normal one, almost like Lincoln has a ghost of an echo. But how did it happen? During the minting process, a misalignment in the hubbing of the die caused a doubling on the obverse of the coin, specifically around Lincoln's ear and jaw. And because of this defect, a small number of these coins made it past quality control and into circulation. Now you might be thinking, okay, so it's a mistake. Why is that valuable? In coin collecting, rarity and demand are everything. And the 1984 double-ear penny is both rare and highly desired. Collectors will pay top dollar for one, especially if it's in mint condition or graded by a top-tier company like PCGS or NGC. The vast majority of 1984 pennies are worth face value, just 1 cent. But find one with this doubling, and you're holding a key variety that belongs in a serious collector's showcase. Let's talk numbers. In recent years, a certified 1984 double-ear Lincoln penny in near-perfect mint state condition has sold for as much as $3,600. And that's not a one-time fluke. Reputable auction houses and online coin dealers regularly list these coins for prices in the thousands. Even circulated versions, those that have been handled in show wear, can fetch hundreds of dollars depending on the clarity of the doubling and overall condition. Think about it, a penny you might dismiss as ordinary could be worth more than an ounce of gold. So what should you do next? Go check your coin jars, dresser drawers, and that old coffee can in the garage. Use a magnifying glass and look carefully at Lincoln's ear. If you see a clear second earlobe, congratulations, you may have found a double die obverse, one of the most valuable pennies from the 1980s. And if you're not sure, don't worry. There are plenty of reputable coin dealers and grading services that can help you confirm whether your coin is the real deal. So how much is the 1984 Lincoln double-ear penny really worth? Depending on the condition and grade, it can range anywhere from $250 to over $3,600. And if the market continues to grow, who knows? One day, the right buyer might be willing to pay even more for this numismatic treasure. Keep looking, keep collecting, and remember, some of the greatest treasures in life are hiding right in plain sight. Have you ever walked past a penny on the sidewalk and not bothered to pick it up? Well, after watching this video, you might never do that again, because one little penny could be worth a fortune. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious and valuable coins hiding in plain sight, the 1995 Lincoln penny. At first glance, this coin looks like any ordinary penny. It has Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile, the word liberty, and the date, 1995. But don't be fooled. Because buried in that copper-plated surface could be a life-changing surprise, a variety so rare, so astonishing, that collectors are willing to shell out thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars just to get their hands on it. What makes this penny so special? Let's find out. The 1995 Lincoln cent was minted in Denver and over 7 billion of them were produced. But in the world of coin collecting, it's not always about how many were made, it's about how many have that one unique error, that one rare feature that slipped through the cracks at the U.S. Mint. One of the key things to look for in the 1995 penny is a doubling error, known as a double die. While the more famous double die comes from the Philadelphia Mint version, the 1995 penny without a mint mark, the Denver version has its own secrets. A very small number of 1995 Lincoln pennies have been found with subtle but significant die variations, including doubling on Lincoln's ear, or even on the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." And when a coin like this is discovered, the numismatic world goes wild. Now, why does this matter? Because double die coins are not just printing errors. They're treasures from the minting process, mechanical anomalies that only happen when the die used to strike the coin has been misaligned or duplicated during production. And the fewer that exist, the higher the value. But there's more. Some 1995 pennies also show off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and rare transitional errors. These aren't your average pocket change mistakes, these are rare production flaws that make each error coin one of a kind. Let me give you a real-world example. A high-grade, uncirculated 1995 Lincoln penny with a dramatic off-center strike or visible doubling has sold for up to $5,000 at auction. And that's just one sale. As interest in rare pennies continues to surge, especially among collectors in their golden years and younger investors alike, these prices could climb even higher. So here's the bottom line: the next time you're looking through your old coin jar, keep your eyes peeled for the 1995 D Lincoln penny. Flip it over. Check the date. Examine the edges. Look closely at the lettering. Because that tiny 1-cent piece might not just be old, it might be rare. And in the world of rare coins, rare means valuable. Right now, a pristine 1995 D Lincoln penny with a major error or doubling can be worth between $500 and $5,000. And if a new, more dramatic variety is discovered and authenticated, that value could reach into the tens of thousands, or even more, because in numismatics, the sky is the limit. So before you toss your pennies in a change jar or ignore the ones in your drawer, take a closer look. You might just be holding $1 million surprise. It's just a penny? Well, let me stop you right there, because this tiny copper coin might just be hiding $1 million secret. Today, we're talking about the mysterious, the elusive, and the surprisingly valuable 2000 Lincoln penny. Yes, you heard that right. A coin minted just after the turn of the millennium could be worth more than your car, your house, or even your retirement savings. Now, you might be wondering, how could a penny, something most people walk past on the sidewalk, be worth that much? Let's dive in. First, a little background. The Lincoln penny has been in circulation since 1909, commemorating the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Over the years, it's seen many changes, different metals, mint marks, and even design variations, but in the year 2000, something very peculiar happened at the U.S. Mint. During that year, a small number of Lincoln pennies were mistakenly struck on the wrong type of coin blank, specifically, a blank meant for a dime. That means the coin is smaller, lighter, and has an unusual color and texture. This minting error is known as a mule error, and in the coin world, that's as rare as a 4-leaf clover in a snowstorm. Just imagine, you're holding a penny, but it looks and feels completely different. Collectors go wild for these kinds of mistakes, because they are unintentional, incredibly rare, and nearly impossible to recreate. And it doesn't stop there. Some 2000 Lincoln pennies also show dramatic die cracks, off-center strikes, or doubling on the date and lettering. If you've got one of those, your coin might be far more valuable than you ever imagined. Now here's where it gets exciting. Point 1. Verified 2000 Lincoln penny struck on a dime planchet sold at auction for over $16,000. That's $16,000 for one penny. And that was years ago. Since then, the collector market has only grown, with rare coins consistently fetching higher prices, but that's not even the top. Experts estimate that if a pristine example of this era penny were to surface, one in mint condition, untouched by circulation, it could command bids well over $100,000. And some enthusiasts believe that if it's a flawless, certified specimen with full detail, it could reach into the millions at a private collector auction. That's right, one penny, potentially worth $1 million. So what should you do? Start checking your change. Look at your coin jars, your dresser drawers, even the old piggy bank you haven't touched in years. Look closely at any 2000 pennies. Check the weight. Look for color differences. Use a magnifying glass to spot doubling or unusual features. And if anything looks strange, don't spend it, get it appraised. You never know. That small copper coin could be your golden ticket. To recap, the 2000 Lincoln penny is incredibly valuable due to rare minting errors, especially those struck on a dime blank or with dramatic flaws. These coins can sell anywhere from $1,000 to over $100,000 depending on the type and condition. And yes, some experts believe that under the right conditions, one of these pennies could even reach $1 million price tag in a high-stakes auction. So keep your eyes open, because one penny could change your life.